There are things athletes say after games that mean nothing. The rehearsed answers. The careful deflections. The polished non-statements designed to give reporters something to write without revealing anything real. Every professional athlete learns this language early. It becomes automatic. A shield between what they actually think and what the world gets to hear. And then there are the other moments. The moments when something happens on a baseball field that is so undeniable, so overwhelming, so far beyond what a professional athlete expected to experience, that the shield drops. The careful language disappears. And what comes out is something raw, unfiltered, and completely honest. Kyle Tucker is not a man who speaks carelessly. He is a 3-time All-Star. A Silver Slugger winner. One of the most respected players in the American League. A man who has faced elite pitching his entire career and who has never been the type to hand out compliments that weren't earned. So when Tucker walked out of the visiting clubhouse after facing the Dodgers, still in his uniform, still processing what he had just experienced on that field, and the words that came out of his mouth were not calculated, not rehearsed, not managed. The Dodgers are like machines right now. The room went quiet. Not because it was a controversial statement. Not because it started an argument. But because every reporter in that room, every analyst watching the clip, every baseball mind who heard those 6 words understood immediately, this was not a talking point. This was a testimony. This was a man who had just stood inside the machine, felt it running at full power against him, and could find no better way to describe what he experienced. And then Tucker went further. Unprompted. Without anyone asking. He touched on Ohtani specifically, the man he described as being on another level, and in doing so, he pulled back the curtain on exactly what the 2025 Dodgers are becoming. Today, we go inside Tucker's words. We decode every layer of what he meant. We look at what the Dodgers look like from the outside, from the perspective of an elite player who just faced them, and we reveal what this season is truly telling us about the most terrifying team in baseball. To understand why Tucker's words carry the weight they do, you have to understand the context in which they were spoken. This was not a pre-game media obligation. This was not a carefully scheduled press conference with prepared remarks and a communications team standing nearby. This was the raw, unguarded moment immediately after a game, when the body is still processing the adrenaline, when the mind is still replaying at-bats and decisions and moments that didn't go the way they were supposed to. In that moment, athletes tell the truth. Not because they want to. But because there isn't enough mental bandwidth left after a full game to manage both the emotions and the image at the same time. Tucker chose the word machines. Not dominant. Not talented. Not well prepared. Machines. That word is specific. That word means something very particular. A machine doesn't have bad days. A machine doesn't get tired. A machine doesn't get nervous in big moments or lose focus in the middle innings or make emotional decisions under pressure. A machine executes the same process, at the same level, with the same precision, regardless of the situation, regardless of the score, regardless of what came before. When Tucker called the Dodgers machines, he wasn't talking about their payroll. He wasn't talking about their star power. He was talking about what he experienced in the batter's box, in the field, in the dugout watching his teammates, the relentless, unwavering, mechanical consistency of a team that simply does not give you anything. No mistakes. No cracks. No innings where the pressure of the moment causes the execution to slip even slightly. Just the machine, running at full power, every inning, every at-bat, every pitch. Let's be specific about what Tucker actually faced. Because the Dodgers are like machines is a feeling. And to understand the feeling, you have to understand the details that created it. When an opposing hitter steps into the batter's box against the 2025 Dodgers, the first thing they notice is the preparation. Every pitch sequence feels pre-planned 3 batters in advance. The catcher's sign comes quickly, there is no hesitation, no conference on the mound, no visible uncertainty about what pitch to throw in what situation. The pitcher already knows. The catcher already knows. They have studied this hitter, this count, this game situation, and the decision was made before the hitter even stepped into the box. That preparation is the machine Tucker felt. Not a single pitcher. Not a single play. The entire system operating in perfect coordination. Then there is the execution. The Dodgers pitching staff in 2025 is not just talented, it is precise in a way that separates the very best teams from the merely great ones. There is a difference between a pitcher who has a good splitter and a pitcher who can throw that splitter to a specific location at a specific velocity in a specific count with the game on the line. The Dodgers have built a rotation and a bullpen full of the second kind. And then there is the offense, the part that opposing pitchers understand in the same way Tucker understood the pitching. When the Dodgers are hitting, there is no soft spot in the lineup. There is no at-bat where the pitcher can exhale, find a rhythm, and coast through a lesser hitter. The machine keeps coming. Every single inning. Tucker experienced all of this. And when he reached for a word to describe it, machines, was the most honest thing he could say. But Tucker didn't stop at the team. He went further. He specifically called out Shohei Ohtani, and the phrase he used was not incredible, or dominant, or any of the standard compliments elite players exchange about each other. He said, on another level. That phrase deserves its own examination. Because when a player of Tucker's caliber, someone who himself operates at an elite level that the vast majority of professional baseball players never reach, describes another player as being, on another level, he is not speaking relatively. He is speaking absolutely. He is saying, there is the level I play at. There is the level the best players in the game play at. And then there is Shohei Ohtani. Separate. Above. In a category that doesn't yet have a proper name. What Tucker saw from Ohtani specifically was the combination that makes him uniquely impossible to prepare for. As a hitter, Ohtani punishes any mistake with a violence that changes games in a single swing. As a pitcher, he approaches each start with a calculated precision that dismantles lineups before they ever find a rhythm. But what Tucker was really reacting to, what the another level actually describes, is the mental component. The way Ohtani operates in big moments with a calm that doesn't look like confidence so much as it looks like certainty. Not belief that things will go well. Certainty. The certainty of a man who has prepared so thoroughly, managed his body so precisely, and built his mental architecture so carefully that the outcome of any individual moment feels almost secondary to the process that produced it. Tucker has faced pressure his entire career. He knows what elite mental performance looks like from the inside. And when he looks at Ohtani, he sees something operating at a level of mental clarity and situational calm that even the best players in the world find difficult to access consistently. That is, another level. Not a compliment. A testimony. Here is the part of Tucker's statement that nobody discusses but everybody should. When he called the Dodgers machines, he was, without knowing it, paying the highest possible compliment not just to the players, but to the manager and the organization that built the system those players operate within. Dave Roberts has been managing the Dodgers long enough to understand something that younger managers are still learning: talent alone does not create a machine. Talent creates potential. Machines require systems. The system Roberts has built, with the full support of an organization that invests in performance science, analytics, and player development at a level that most teams haven't reached yet, is the invisible infrastructure behind every pitch Tucker faced, every at-bat that went wrong, every moment where the Dodgers executed when lesser teams would have made a mistake. The pitching staff doesn't just throw well. They throw within a system of preparation that begins days before the game, that accounts for every tendency in the opposing lineup, that gives each pitcher a specific plan of attack and the information they need to execute it with confidence. The offense doesn't just hit well. They approach at-bats within a framework that prioritizes process over results, that accepts strikeouts in service of longer at-bats that drain opposing pitchers, that values the walk and the hard contact even when the hit doesn't fall. Every small decision, every routine, every recovery protocol and nutrition plan and mechanical adjustment, it all feeds into the machine Tucker felt running against him at full power. Roberts doesn't need to talk about it. The grin in the dugout, the calm in his press conferences, the quiet confidence he carries through a 162-game season, that is the expression of a man who built something and is watching it work exactly the way it was designed to work. Tucker's statement didn't just describe one game. It described a pattern that has been building all season long. Game after game in 2025, the Dodgers have produced the same result through a process that looks almost identical each time. Not because they are lucky. Not because the schedule has been favorable. But because the machine is consistent in a way that removes luck from the equation as much as any baseball team can. The pitching staff's ERA sits among the best in the league. The offense ranks near the top in on-base percentage and hard contact rate. The bullpen has converted save opportunities at a rate that puts them among the elite relief units in baseball. And through all of it, through the long road trips, the back-to-back games, the tough losses that would cause lesser teams to spiral, the Dodgers have maintained the same mechanical consistency that Tucker felt the night he walked out of that visiting clubhouse and told the truth. What this season is revealing is something the baseball world suspected when the roster was assembled but couldn't fully confirm until the games were played. This team is not just talented enough to win a championship. This team is built to win a championship. There is a difference, and it matters enormously over the course of a full season. Talented teams peak and valley. They have weeks where everything clicks and weeks where nothing does. Built teams, machine teams, operate within a narrower band. The floor is higher. The variance is lower. And at the end of 162 games, that consistency compounds into something that playoff opponents face with a combination of respect and dread. Kyle Tucker didn't plan to give the baseball world a scouting report on the 2025 Dodgers. He was just trying to answer a question in the hallway outside the visiting clubhouse, still processing the game, still feeling the weight of what he had experienced for 9 innings. But in 6 words, the Dodgers are like machines right now, he said, more than most analysts have said in thousands of words of breakdown and projection. He said, this team is different. Not better in the way that teams are usually better. Different in the way that the very best teams in baseball history were different, in the systematic, relentless, mechanical way that separates dynasties from contenders. And Ohtani at the center of it all. On another level. Operating with a clarity and a calm and a physical capability that even the best players in the sport find themselves unable to fully describe, only to testify to, the way Tucker did, in that unguarded moment when the shield came down and the truth came out. The machine is running. And from everything Tucker saw, from everything the 2025 season has already shown, it is nowhere close to finished.